He's just one of those people who has this infectious, magnetic personality. That's not something that's turned on for TV. That's who he is.
I'm gonna have to write you a big check.
It's all the feelings at once because we're so sad to see Hoda go and we're so proud of her and we want to give her the biggest, best send-off possible. But we're also overjoyed because Craig is stepping in to fill her shoes, and I can't think of anyone more perfect for that role. So we're excited for Hoda's future. We know that she'll still be in our family and that we'll get to see her. And everyone is so happy and delighted that Craig, who has been with the show for 7+ years now and is just everyone's favorite person as he walks the halls of 30 Rock like the mayor, that he got the job that he has earned and deserves. Craig is incredibly charming and friendly and personable and the kind of person who knows everyone's names, but beyond that knows where their kid went to school or when the last time they visited their mom, and he loves people, so people love him.
All the feels, as the kids would say. Outside of like getting married and having my kids, I don't know if I've ever been more excited about something. I really am stoked. Professionally, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. To be on the adventure with this one, she's tired of hearing me say this now, but when I started, everyone knows how smart she was. You know, top of the class, Georgetown Law. She's still our chief legal correspondent, by the way. A lot of folks don't know that. But then you sit next to her every day, you're like, wait a minute, she's funny. Like really, like legit funny, like late night talk show. Now, you know, a lot of it's like commercial break funny. The thing with morning TV especially, like the audience can tell when the chemistry is manufactured. And we haven't had to manufacture anything, which makes it even easier. I like a lot of folks, I grew up watching the show. I remember I sort of fell in love with the show when I was in middle school. My mom was already off to work and my dad was coming home, so I was there by myself for a while. And I was watching every morning. It was Bryant and Katie. And that's when I really started getting into the show. And then when I got into business, for a kid from Columbia, South Carolina, I worked at my hometown station, the same station where I was an intern in high school. And I think there got to be a point where I thought, gosh, maybe I can get to a bigger market. And then I went to Washington, D.C. And in Washington, I was like fully prepared to retire there. Like it was more than I could have imagined. And then one day someone called from here at 30 Rock and they're like, hey, would you come and fill in like this weekend or read like the news on Weekend Today? And I thought I was being punked. But my girlfriend at the time, we hopped on the train, we came up and we stayed over at the Roosevelt Hotel. I'll never forget it. And I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. So no, I never dreamed that any of this would happen, which I think makes it even sweeter. You know, it's made me appreciate it even more that I didn't grow up expecting that it would happen. I'm gonna go out the Roker way, you know, like they'll have to wheel me out of this place. They will have to like come in with boxes and security and say, you're done, you're fired.
Well, my situation was much different than this. You know, I came at a time of a lot of controversy for the show. And it was, I don't think, a happy occasion really for anyone, including me. You know, I was as terrified as I could possibly be because the bosses at the time had made a decision and I quite literally was the last to know. And I was so afraid and I was pretty sure that I wouldn't last. And you know, at that point I had come this far and I was the anchor of the 9 o'clock on the Today Show and had been the legal correspondent and been a White House correspondent. And all my dreams had already come true. It didn't need to get any better than that. I already knew I was the luckiest girl from Tucson, Arizona ever to show up. And so when they came and it was this controversy and this time, you know, when I was offered the job, I was in tears. And it wasn't because I didn't dream of this job like everyone else does. It was because I was sure that it wouldn't last and that I'd be thrown by the wayside within a few weeks or months. So it was a much, much different situation. And I think part of that is the reason it gives me a lot of joy to see Craig get his moment and to be celebrated because he deserves that and he worked for that. I'm so happy that I survived and that I'm still here.
Thrived.
12 years,
Thrived.
13 years later, I would have not believed it, and it's such a blessing.
Here's what Savannah will never say, but I'll say it for her. One of the reasons that she's done more than survive, one of the reasons that she's thrived at this over the years is because she makes everyone around her better. A couple years ago, I was doing an interview with the president, or I forget who it was, and it was stressful. It was a stressful interview, and I reached out to her. She was like, basically, you can go and you can try to do like 18 things, and you can have 12 questions, or you can really focus on like 2 or 3 subjects. And she said, and I don't know if you remember this, she was like, go deep. Not wide, just go deep. And so over the years, these little nuggets that she'll drop along the way, like if you're smart enough, you pick up on them. And like watching Savannah Guthrie conduct a live interview, it's a master class. Because she'll like do this thing with her arm, like she'll put one arm here, and you say, uh-oh, here it comes. Here comes the cross-examination. And then sometimes it's like, you'll get the rap in the air, and then she'll be like, just one more. And then one turns into 6, and then we're killing commercial breaks. She's good at the craft. She's not just good at the craft, she's one of the best in the business at the craft itself.
That's so nice, and now you jinxed me.
Well, stop. No, you
Now
can't
they're
go,
taking me in a stretcher.
No, you can't go anywhere for a few years now.
First of all, I remember seeing Craig when he was in Washington, D.C. in local news, and I was either in law school or at Court TV or early on at NBC in Washington. I mean, he was in local news. It was early. I lived in Washington. And I immediately was like, that guy is good. He's different. He's an original. He's like really cool. He's just a cool guy. He comes across as cool, but not in the way that you can't approach. Not in the way of like, that jerk who never called you after you met him at a party. He's not that guy. He's the guy that's like everyone's friend, who's adorable and kind and loving and compassionate. He's a totally evolved human being. And this particular job is a joy, but it's not for everyone. But he can. I mean, you have to be able to interview a president, interview a head of state, and you have to turn on a dime and then be ready to introduce to the world the latest pygmy hippo. And he's as beloved on camera as he is off camera, and that's huge. I mean, you know, his wife Lindsay and my husband Mike, we've all known each other for 1,000 years. Like I've known Lindsay for
longer.
Before I knew Craig.
Right.
I knew Lindsay.
My wife would go on her cable show.
Yeah, in Washington.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, she's amazing. We loved her. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, they're dating, how cute.
It's funny because when we were dating, we went out to dinner, then we were gonna go have drinks later, and then she's like, oh, I've gotta get up, I've gotta be up early for the daily rundown. I was like, the show with Chuck and Savannah? She's like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I was like, screw Chuck and Savannah. You know, taking you away early.
We kept her on the straight and narrow.
You did, and I remember, God, I can't believe I remember this. I remember the first time that I saw her on the show, she was wearing like this yellow dress. Yellow's her favorite color. Because I just wanted to make sure she wasn't like trying to blow me off, so I woke up the next morning to actually watch, and there she was, like being in it. So it's like, it's kind of full circle. It's kind of full circle.
Is.